I'd like to call the November 11th, 2021 Peters Township Planning Commission meeting to order. Ed, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Magrino will not be here. Mr. Carter-Phillips?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Mills?
Here.
Mr. Salepis?
Here.
Mr. Wiley and Ms. Corbeil will not be here tonight.
Great. We have the opportunity tonight to have Councilman Fred Kozer. Councilman, would you please come up? Thank you.
You know, gentlemen, it seems like the year comes around very quick. You know, every year around this time I come bearing gifts because, you know, I would, when the council picks who goes to which commission, there's no way that I'm not going to come here to my old stomping grounds. Hard to believe it's already 6 years since I've been on that side of the table here. But the three of you who are not here this evening have already received their gifts through the mail, so I'll just hand these out. As always, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate everything you do. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Frank.
And the one thing I always find enjoyable about this commission is no one ever begs off here. No one ever asks to get off or not to be reappointed. So thank you for all your work. Have a good time. Have a great Thanksgiving, and talk later. See you next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I please get a motion to approve the September 9th, 2021 regular meeting minutes? I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. See no reports of correspondence, no site plan subdivision filed for review. Ed, any changes to the agenda?
No.
Any audience comments on items not on the agenda? Okay, we'll just move right into new business. Planning Commission recommendation, Brookwood Place Amendment Number 4. Final plan, Azalea Drive.
The Brookwood Place Amendment Number 4 plan is simply a plan that establishes the lot line at the party wall between the four units in Building 105. This building is under construction. The foundations are up. This plan simply pinpoints the exact lot line on the party wall. The new lot lines are centered on the common walls as constructed to allow for fee simple conveyance as each townhouse unit is sold. This is amendment number 4. We'll continue to see these come back to us as the Brookwood Place townhouse units get built. So planning staff's recommending that we recommend council approve the Brookwood Place Amendment Number 4 final plan.
Any audience comments? Commissioners' comments? Can I get a motion to recommend?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the Brookwood Place Amendment 4 as outlined in the Planning Commission meeting memo October 28th, 2021.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Planning Commission recommendation for the Cagney Plan Number 3 final plan.
Yeah, the McLaughlin family and the Cagney family are requesting approval of the Cagney Plan Number 3 final plan. This plan is a re-subdivision of parcels A and B in the Cagney Plan Number 1. That plan was recorded back in 1980, May 1980. This plan combines parcels A and B in the Cagney Plan Number 1 into one lot, Lot 2, and creates Lot 1. The McLaughlin family will retain ownership of Lot 2, and the Cagney family will own Lot 1, the lot on the left there in green. This area of the Route 19 corridor is zoned general commercial. The minimum lot size in the GC zoning district is a half acre. Both of these lots exceed that minimum half acre requirement. At this time, there's no imminent plan by either family to develop lots 1 and 2 in the Cagney Plan Number 3. This section of Route 19 is not served by public sanitary sewers. In addition, access to Route 19 is going to be challenging. We have a recommended condition on the plan that, stipulates that the Lot 2 must share access to Route 19 when it would develop in the future. It's a simple re-subdivision, and staff's recommending approval subject to the 3 conditions listed in my November 4 memo to you.
Any audience comments on this item on the agenda? Any commissioner comments?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the CAGB Plan Number 3 final plan as detailed in the planning staff memo dated November 4th, 2021, subject to the 3 conditions.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Planning Commission recommendation for the Forest Lawn Gardens, South Hills Honda Subdivision revised.
Norton Real Estate LLC, owners of South Hills Honda, and Forest Lawn Gardens, Inc., owners of Forest Lawn Gardens Cemetery, are requesting township approval to make a lot line shift between the 2 lots. The subdivision plan transfers .03 acres of land from Forest Lawn Gardens, Inc., and combines it with the South Hills Honda piece. You see it there outlined in red, that line, that red line moves away and it squares it up. So that small little section of .03 acres gets combined into the Forest Lawn Garden property. Simple lot line shift. Planning staff's recommending, we recommend to council that we approve the plan subject to those 3 conditions listed in my report.
Any audience comments on this item on the agenda? Commissioner comments? Seems pretty straightforward.
I'll make a motion that the Forest Lawn Gardens, South Hills Honda subdivision revised be approved in accordance with planning staff's memo dated November 4th, 2021, including the 3 staff recommendations listed in the memo.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, next on the agenda is Planning Commission recommendation on the McCroble Subdivision Plan Number 1 final plan.
Seth has an aerial up here of this property. Paul and Erica McCrobe in 2020 purchased this 10-acre property, and it has an address of 475 Bower Hill Road. The McCrobes are requesting township approval of the McCrobe Subdivision Plan Number 1 final plan. This plan proposes to subdivide this 10-acre piece into 3 total lots. The 3 lots range in size from 5.95 acres, Lot 1, where McCrobe's intend on building a new house for themselves, and the other lot is 1.95 acres, and that's Lot 3. You see highlighted in red there, this area of Peters, Snyder, Bower Hill, does not have public sanitary sewer service readily available. So that red line indicated on there is showing that the McCrobes will have to extend that public sanitary sewer line from Just About Farms up into the McCrobe subdivision. They'll serve the 3 new lots in the McCrobe plan with public sanitary sewer service. Plus, this extension will provide sanitary sewer service to 4 lots on Snyder that are on-lot septic systems, so they'll have the opportunity to tie those homes into public sewer. Plus, it provides the 2 lots, two existing homes on Bower Hill Road that are on-lot sewage systems with access to public sewers. The Peters Township Sanitary Authority has been heavily involved in this plan. The Sanitary Authority has approved the construction plans and the subdivision plan. This section of Bower Hill Road, where lots 2 and 3 are proposed, is classified as a collector road. As you know, our subdivision and land development regulations do not allow new lots to be created with direct access onto a collector road. Lots 2 and 3 have 300 feet plus of sight distance looking left and right for a new driveway to connect to Bower Hill Road. Those distances were field verified by our township traffic engineer, Mike Mudry. Therefore, planning staff does not see a problem with 2 additional single-family residential lots having access to Bower Hill Road in this location. It's a 25-mile-an-hour zone with adequate, safe sight distance. So therefore, staff's recommending we approve the modification to our subdivision ordinance to allow lots 2 and 3 direct access to Bower Hill Road, plus recommending the McCroble subdivision be approved by Planning Commission, subject to those 7 conditions outlined in my memo to you dated November 4.
Any audience comments on the McCroble subdivision? Commissioner comments? Sir, please come on.
Please come up and introduce yourself.
My name's Mark Van Nissen. I live on Snyder here. When the sanitary authority designs this, do they already calculate and figure in the feasibility of the slopes and all are going to work out? Because, you know, when they built this the first time, when they put the extension on, which is allowing this, you know, to happen, it wasn't real practical for us to reach to it, you know, and there's a stream involved, and so that's why I'm questioning it. I can see they've already drawn in where the Y tap-ins would be, so I got to assume, you know, engineering-wise, it's all feasible. I know we're responsible to get our line down to the Y, and but I have a hard time, you know, when I look at the creek, like, how's it going to work? So I guess that needs to be discussed with the sanitary authority or engineering, you know, the engineering company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Kerry Crater from HMT. So the only place that extension can go is where it's at, physically. The easement from the existing plan of lots through their open space was already dedicated. So the line ends, I'm going to walk up here.
Sure.
So the existing line ends here. This easement to get to our property was already provided through Just About Farms open space. Physically, that's the only place that line can go. Depth-wise, in order to service all this, we're restricted on what we can do. You know what I mean? You can't change that elevation because of the existing manhole that's already there where we're tying into. We just shot the basement elevations of those 4 homes this week or last week, just to see exactly what the fall's going to be between those. But when we talk to the sanitary authority, one way or another, we'll get it worked out, so to say. You know what I mean? We had went through this. This has been an ongoing process for how long? A year?
At least.
At least, to get this worked out.
But I will have to say the answer to your question is yes. They look at where that easement is and where it needs to be in order to serve surrounding properties with a future public sewer extension. They look at all those, the depths, the topography, to make sure that...
Because we had to be under the stream that's there also.
Right.
So you got an elevation here and the stream here. We have to meet this here and this here. There's nothing else that we could do with except the way it is, basically.
I mean, I think it's great, as long as it, can be engineered. As far as us property owners running lines down, would there be a common contractor to do that work, or everybody's on their own?
I guess my recommendation is when the township approves our contractor to do that, to get in touch with him. He's going to be right there.
That's what I look at, yeah. The equipment's already there.
Everything's there, yeah. You're not going to have to pay the fees to bring him in, to bring him out.
Right.
He'll be right there, so.
Part of the permitting process, they approved, like, the line that we're going to put through the property, like, we'd still have to do some kind of
But I think you'd
engineering.
have to go to sanitary.
Yeah, you'd have to get that all approved through the sanitary authority. You'd have to get a sanitary sewer tap-in permit, and then they would be out there inspecting your connection of your private lateral to that public line.
Okay, so you do it through the sanitary authority?
Yes,
We don't have anything to do with that right now.
we do not.
Okay.
But I agree that
It's a great idea.
the opportunity exists when, you don't know who that contractor is going to be yet, do you?
I'm 90% sure.
Okay, but that would be the wise move to coordinate that with that,
Right.
and we'll help you with that.
Right. Any idea on the timeline? We look at next summer, or
As soon as we get this approved, we want to start.
Okay.
Again, weather dependent.
Yeah, right.
But most of that work can be done in the wintertime. It's up there.
Okay.
There's no.
So once this process, we should probably start working with,
Got to be approved at the council. We're only recommending approval, so it'll have to go to council.
It-
Right.
It's going to go to council on Monday, November 22.
Okay.
So after that, they'll approve.
And then it'll probably.
Get in touch with the sanitary authority sooner.
And it'll probably be, another month until we get everything.
All the i's dotted and t's.
T's crossed, right.
When you get into the bad weather, so.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other audience comments? Commissioner comments?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the McCroble Subdivision Plan Number 1 final plan as detailed in the planning staff memo dated November 4th, 2021, subject to the 7 conditions laid out there.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, the Planning Commission recommendation for the 1781 Club revised site plan Scenic Valley Golf Course.
Before Planning Commission this evening is a revised site plan, as you had stated, for the 1781 Club, otherwise known as Scenic Valley Golf Course. I will say here on my staff report, at the time of writing, I had the applicant as under contract to purchase. I believe you've closed on the property since then. I think they closed earlier this month, so now they're owners of the property. It's just a minor difference, but it is truth nonetheless. As owners of this property, I'm sure you remember seeing them back earlier this year when they came to Planning Commission for recommendation to the Township Zoning Hearing Board for a special exception request for a private recreational facility. It was a little bit more involved than what's before you this evening. Earlier this year, we saw a subdivision of the property, the implementation of swimming pool, pickleball courts, some additional maintenance facilities that really made it its own kind of standalone special exception. They were denied that by the Zoning Hearing Board, so they've come back with Plan B tonight with a revised site plan that really only includes the remodeling of the existing clubhouse with an addition on it as well. That proposed canopy that was also shown in the special exception, it's really just kind of a covered bridge entrance into the site. And then some very minor realignment of parking spaces kind of around the clubhouse and some potential upgrades to the buffer between the property and the adjacent residential homes. The remodeled clubhouse, as I had mentioned, is getting a pretty good size addition, of about 6,600 square foot addition off to the interior of the course and towards the first tee box. So we're not seeing expansion of the building any closer to those residential properties or really towards the driveway, just towards that first tee box and the interior of the golf course. It's a 2-level addition that includes golf shop lobbies, a cigar lounge, a humidor, wine room, pro shop, and some other associated rooms that will be kind of tied into the main kitchen and dining area on the second floor of the building after the full renovation is complete. As part of that, they're also doing a sanitary sewer extension from the nearby Cobblestone Court through the existing sanitary sewer easement to better facilitate, obviously sanitary sewer availability for the building, which will be coordinated through the Peters Township Sanitary Authority. Peters Creek Sanitary Authority. Thank you. In terms of site design, we are seeing, as I mentioned, a reconfiguration of parking spaces, moving some handicap spaces towards this side of the building here, and then reconfiguring some parking spaces adjacent to the existing maintenance building that's kind of located centrally within the parking lot. We took this before the township traffic engineer just to ensure that with the building addition, they still have the appropriate number of parking. Per his analysis, he looked at it in terms of the golf course and then maybe a restaurant later on in the evenings as part of the clubhouse. And his analysis deemed that those two uses don't have PM peak trip overlaps. So the traffic need for the golf course at its peak time, which is about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, doesn't really conflict with the peak parking need of the restaurant clubhouse during the evening hours. So the number of parking spaces provided by the applicant was deemed sufficient by the township engineer, with consideration of that addition. In addition to the proposed remodeling of the clubhouse, the rearranging of parking spaces, as we discussed with Planning Commission during the special exception process, the existing buffer between the golf course and the adjacent residential homes is in need of some maintenance and supplementation here and there to make sure that it's consistent across all those residential properties. There have been some areas that have been damaged. There are trees that have fallen. Maybe it's not as lush in some areas as we'd like to have it. So, we're going to work with the applicant to establish not a new buffer between the golf course and those residential properties, but a quality buffer that's supplemented from its existing conditions as it is today. I think they might want to go in and maybe clean it up a little bit. There's some overgrown areas. So, whatever we need to do to make sure we've got a quality buffer between this new remodeled golf course or the remodeled clubhouse and those adjacent properties, I think will go a very long way, and that's reflected in the conditions of my staff report. Just flipping through some elements of the site plan here. There's a lighting plan as shown on screen. I think it's contrary. I received an email earlier from the applicant. The lighting plan that's provided to you and shown on screen isn't 100% accurate. They're going to be taking away the tall freestanding lights towards the main entrance off of Churchill Road, and they're going to be converting those to much lower lights that are just illuminating the driveway, but not 18 feet in the air projecting downwards. More of a ground level lighting scenario there. We're looking at some additional parking lot lighting in the sense of those projected or those downward facing about 20-foot tall lights around the parking lot, and some additional building lighting along the edges of the remodeled clubhouse. And just a closer up view of what that lighting scenario may look like. In terms of the building design after the remodel, it's a pretty substantial difference. We're looking at a combination of stone and some cement board siding with a standing seam metal roof, a lot more transparency with different glass implementations. This would be looking towards the interior of the golf course, and this is part of that proposed addition with some exterior areas for gathering as well. This would be looking towards the main entrance, from the main parking lot. The maintenance building would be directly behind you taking this shot. Off to the right there is that covered entranceway that I had mentioned. This would be coming in off the entrance drive, and then this would be looking back towards the clubhouse from that existing first tee box. Planning staff, take a good look at this. We established 12 conditions in our report to the Planning Commission dated October 28th. We are recommending approval of the revised site plan. Again, it is a revised site plan, so it's purely a Planning Commission approval for this. This will not be going to council. I'm here to answer any questions you had. I had conditions in here about that landscaping buffer. I think that's probably the one that we're most keenly aware of that needs to be addressed moving forward. But we are making a recommendation of approval subject to those 12 conditions in my staff.
And I think number 11 Because I know we focused on the residents closer to that pickleball court or
Well-
swimming pool. I think 11, because now the restaurant does, like 104 and 105.
Right, these first two
Really,
properties.
those are the real critical ones.
Right on Cobblestone. I would
Yeah.
agree with you, yep. And that's why we added in
So
that
those may
condition.
be some additional
Yep.
trees there and all
Yep.
that.
As it stands
Rather
today.
than just cleaning up there.
Yeah, as it stands today, when you come in off Churchill, those two properties have no landscape buffer whatsoever.
Yeah.
So we'd like to see that boosted a
Yeah,
little.
and I think the residents there would.
I would agree.
There was a item here about the traffic impact fee to be paid at issuance. Is that just because we're waiting on the final size?
I mean, we know the size. We've not done the final calculation yet. I mean, that's typical for us. We
It'll
don't.
just be the,
we don't-
whatever the calculation
Yeah, whatever
is.
the additional trips generated from the expansion,
Okay.
we'll have our traffic engineer look at that and multiply that times our rate.
Okay. Do we have any audience comments on this proposed change? Please come up and introduce yourself.
Good evening, I'm Ron Schaffner, and I live on Bridle Trail, adjoining the golf course. Couple of questions. I had several questions. I'm glad to see that a bunch of them have already been answered.
Good to hear.
But there was mention of study of adequate parking, but has there been an actual traffic study, or do I understand that this is still to happen?
A traffic study would not be required for something like this. It doesn't generate a sufficient number of trips to require a traffic study.
Okay.
But we still, I mean, a parking needs analysis was done by our consulting traffic engineer and the applicant's consulting traffic engineers.
So we know somehow that there will not be sufficient number of additional trips to require a full traffic study?
Correct.
But they did, the traffic engineer did give a report saying that the parking at the facility is sufficient.
That is correct.
Right, I understood that part, yeah. Okay. Is this going to be, excuse me, is this going to be operated as a golf course clubhouse or as a party and wedding venue?
You could probably ask the applicant, if you have the applicant here, please come up, sir, if you could just mind introduce yourself.
Hi, Sean Crean, resident of the Township and owner of the club. It's going to be the golf course clubhouse. Our primary focus of that is to make a community-oriented golf club, which it already is, but expanding on the community aspect of it. We don't have any specific intentions for those kinds of things, but we wouldn't want to be restricted unless there's some township requirement that we would be, right? We definitely plan to have, events or whatever to bring community together, so.
Is it going to be public?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we will offer memberships,
But you could,
to,
like a semi-private type
yeah,
thing? Okay.
so you don't have memberships, but it's basically a discount program to get loyalty and get proactive about scheduling and optimizing the use of the facilities.
Gotcha.
Okay, I noticed there was a mention of a metal roof. At one of the previous meetings, I believe it was stated that metal roof construction was not permitted by zoning in this area. Did I misunderstand that?
That's not correct.
So what was said about metal roof at the previous meetings?
To my recollection, the standing seam metal roof has existed from the original special exception approval through today. I mean, there's no requirement, there's nothing that says they can't do a standing seam metal roof or that it has to be any other type of roof.
And we have single-family homes throughout Peters Township that have standing seam metal roofs.
Yeah, well, I should have taken more careful notes, but there was something said to the contrary at one of the previous meetings. The reason I asked about, is this going to be operated as a golf course, as a golf clubhouse or a party and wedding venue, is it seems to me that there's a potential for this to actually be a change of use and not being able to slide in under this minor a review. It sounds like a change of use to me that would require approval at more than one level.
You know, we have.
Well, this is going through the planning review and then approval to at the council level. No?
It's purely, this is a revised site plan through Planning Commission.
Oh, this is just a site plan.
Yeah, we have consulted with the
Okay.
township solicitor to ensure that they're operating with within the bounds of their existing special exception approval. And he concurred that, you know, they have the right to do this building expansion and this minor site reconfiguration within the bounds of that existing special exception approval, that it would not require an additional review by the Township Zoning Hearing Board.
My point is, if this is in fact a change of use, that would make a difference. Apparently, the desire is at present to maintain the antiquated 10-foot setback, which is unfortunate. So you're signing off on maintaining a decades-old 10-foot setback from residential properties by characterizing this as not being a change of use. I mean, if you're willing to vote for that, fine, but that is what is actually happening.
Let me ask you a question. Could not someone have their wedding at the current facility?
Yes.
Could not there be a party at the current facility?
Yes.
It's a social gathering space.
Right? That's like, I'm confused.
It's not a change.
You're inferring that could not be possible at the current facility, but you're the owner now, right? Like if somebody came right now today and asked if they wanted to have their wedding at the current golf course.
I'm not inferring any such thing. I'm talking about...
No, you are. You're saying that they're changing use, right? You're saying it's going from something from what it is to something else, but what it is could currently house weddings. That's why I'm slightly confused.
Well, that's certainly not currently its main use.
I wouldn't say that their main intention moving forward is to have it as a wedding venue either. I mean, I think, as Mr. Crehan had stated, their main goal is to have a clubhouse for the golf course. There may be some social gatherings that take place there, but that's certainly not his primary intention.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. Any other residents? Comments? Any other commissioner comments?
I'm recusing myself because I'm
Go ahead.
I didn't hear you.
I said I'm recusing myself because I'm
Gotcha.
involved with the development when he asked for comment.
Going around there, any other comments?
Oh, sorry. I would like to add a 13th condition. Peters Creek Sanitary Authority approval. I apologize. I missed that. It's Peters Creek Sanitary Authority doing the sanitary sewer extension. They would need to approve that. So, thank you.
I'll make a.
Can I just let Seth know that the Peters Creek Sanitary Authority does have the plans?
Good. Good. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the 1781 Club revised site plan as detailed in the planning staff memo dated October 28th, 2021, subject to the 12 conditions there plus the additional condition Mr. Kuntz mentioned regarding the Peters Creek Sanitary Authority.
All second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, next on the agenda is Planning Commission recommendation for the Peters Township Fire Station number 3, 435 Beaver Road.
Peters Township, along with our consulting Gateway Engineers and EPM Architecture, who are both here represented tonight, along with the Peters Township Fire Department and Chief Michael McLaughlin, have developed a land development plan for the Peters Township Fire Station number 3, located at 435 Bebout Road, currently the home of McClure Construction, but was purchased by the township in 2020 with the intention of building a new fire station in this location. The plan would include tearing down the entire 5,000-ish square feet existing building on the site, constructing the new roughly 7,900 square foot fire station, associated parking areas, stormwater management, landscape buffers, the whole kit and caboodle. The proposed fire station would include two main entrances, one main entrance off Bebout, one main exit off of the site onto Bebout. The northern entrance would be both an ingress and egress. The southern entrance would be purely egress for vehicles wrapping around the site, or obviously fire trucks coming out of the fire truck bays here on the southern side of the building. As I mentioned again, it's roughly 7,900 square foot facility. A large portion of it is taken up by the fire truck bays, and then obviously the remainder is the various facilities associated with a fire station. We've got proposed landscape buffer along Bebout Road, along both the northern and the southern property lines, and some additional landscaping within the small stormwater facility off to the western end of the site. This stormwater facility collects roof drains from the building that collect into a pipe along these kind of western perimeter, ultimately funneled into that facility. And then there's some curb cuts within the parking lot, two here and then one here, that ultimately either directly flow into that facility or they travel along some earthen channels into that stormwater facility. There's an associated lighting plan with the site. It has some freestanding lights around the perimeter of the parking lot, some attached building lighting as well. And here is a closer look of that stormwater facility, again collecting it from the entire site. The proposed fire station would include a combination of primarily red brick with some gray accent brick, some gray accent siding, hip style shingled roof. Sorry, gable style, not hip style. It is very similar to what you would expect to see in a residential area. Obviously, it's a fire station. There's certain elements that don't necessarily look residential, but it has residential character to it. Trying to seamlessly integrate it into its context as best as we possibly can. This eastern elevation shown on screen would be what you see from Bebout Road. You get two large glass fire truck bay roll-top garage doors, flagpole in the center, and then the remainder of the fire station would be off to your right here. There's a total of 8 parking spaces throughout the site, the adequate number of ADA spaces provided, plenty sufficient buffer off of Bebout Road, meeting their required buffers along both property lines and Bebout Road. I think overall, our consulting engineers and EPM have done a really nice job. I shouldn't discount the effort put in by our fire department, but bringing together a vision for this facility and what it would look like on this site. Planning staff, we're making a recommendation that it be approved. This is a land development approval, so it's just a site plan approval by Township Planning Commission. I have 6 conditions here in my staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Again, we have Gateway, Pat Cooper from Gateway, we have Mark Edelman from NPM Architecture, and we have Chief McLaughlin here from the fire department answering any questions you may have.
So what was the existing zone?
This is zoned single-family cluster.
How was it? Is that non-conforming?
It would have been existing non-conforming. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, that facility has, that building, I don't know if I put that in there.
Yeah. Okay.
It's an old structure, when the new zoning was put in place, it was an existing.
So when an entity like a public service, like, would that just, how does that address with zoning?
We're deeming this emergency services or essential services. I can't remember which one of the two, but both of those are permitted uses within single-family cluster. Yeah.
Gotcha. I think it's an ideal spot. How about the issues with all the lakes right next to it? Is there any flooding concerns?
Pat, do you want to talk about that?
Pat Cooper, Gateway. There is a floodplain on the stream behind the site, but this entire development, including the stormwater management facilities, are all outside the floodplain.
Okay. So McClure never had any issues with something with flooding over there?
Not that I'm aware of. But
okay. It's just sort of amazing how those lakes or ponds sort of get awfully close to that site.
Yeah, the floodplain might show up here. is roughly this contour right there.
Just outside of it.
Okay.
Everything is kept outside.
Okay.
Hey, Chief, can you explain your open house that you had?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Good evening. My name is Mike McLaughlin. I'm the fire chief. Thank you all for your service here. We appreciate you being here. In quick concern for the flooding issue, I had the same concern as well and the same question, but there is a dam further downstream that overflows before any of that fills up as well. So the issue was further down Bebout Road, closer to Venetia. As you go further down there, there's another dam that resides there that, when we looked at it, I'm like, there's water right next to that site. How could it not be an
You
issue?
had boats anyway, so. I don't
We
know
have
what you're
boats.
worried
We were,
about.
yes, we were just down on one today, as a matter of fact. But yes, as part of this process, we want to blend in with the community more than anything. Obviously, we have to be a neighbor. We're a neighbor now. I live in the community. I've been here. I know what it takes to be a good neighbor. So we wanted to be as forthright and open with this process as we possibly could be. So we decided to host an open house at the fire station where we posted pictures of what the proposed building would be and invited all of the neighbors from Timberlake and from Old Trails down to take a look at what we had. We did have a few people attend both that night and contact me throughout the remainder of the week. And Seth, if you could go back to the landscaping plan, please. A couple of the concerns that had come up were site distance from Timberlake looking down towards Venetia Road. One of their concerns were the trees up at the northern end. It's not a concern with the plan, it's a concern with right now how they maintain it with McClure's. And every once in a while it gets overgrown and they go in there and they take care of it, cut it down and maintain it. Obviously, being a township-owned property, it would be our responsibility as a municipality to take care of that and make sure that it does not get overgrown and cause a site distance issue. Another question that they had was, where would the monument sign go, and would it be a monument-style sign? The answer is yes, it's a monument-style sign, and it sits right there. And they were very happy with that, again, from a site distance standpoint. The other concern was addressed in the letter, and that was there won't be a siren on top of the building. We don't have a siren blast. Every time we answer a fire call, it would go off about 1,600 times a year, and that's just, in the day of 2021, we get our fire calls to our cell phones, and there's not a need for a non-building siren anymore.
Never ever hate sirens.
Tornado.
It's 2021. You got those alerts to your phone too, huh? So all of those things we had a discussion with, and we actually had a very productive meeting at that open house. The nice lady from across the street in Old Trail stopped down as well. She was flattered that it had some characteristics of her house and some of the residences over in Old Trails, and looks forward to bringing us some pumpkin bread. So. Do you guys have any questions on the process? Mr. Edelman is a fantastic architect and really addressed their concerns. Ed loves the trees on the sides. So. Lighting was another thing. I think our light poles that we had proposed were too tall. They were shortened.
What is the height? What is the height of the?
16.
Yeah, we went from 20 to 16.
20 is the max height.
But taking some of those characteristics, adding brick, and making it look like a residential structure. Any other questions?
I think you guys did a really nice job. Yeah, it was great. And Chief, thank you for your service. Yeah.
My
Thank you
pleasure
for
to serve.
having- yeah,
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having an open house to keep people out of the planning commission.
Any commissioner comments on it?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to, the planning commission recommend approval of the Peters Township Fire Station number 3 at 435 Bebout Road. That's outlined in the staff memo dated November 4th, 2021, and to fulfill the 6 commissions outlined in the memo.
On the second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any other issues added?
No, sir.
All right. Meeting adjourned.